My son Benjamin stood at the altar, straightening his cufflinks like he always did when he was nervous. The sunlight poured through the tall chapel windows, splashing golden light over his brown hair, and for a moment, I saw the boy he used to be, the one who used to run barefoot through our backyard, laughing so hard he'd hiccup. My heart swelled with pride. And then her voice sliced through the air, sweet as poisoned honey. "Could you move, there?" Evelyn, his bride, gestured toward the far corner of the reception hall, not toward the tables adorned with roses and linen, but toward the row of plastic chairs near the industrial trash bins, where the staff took their breaks. I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "Excuse me?" I whispered. Her smile didn't falter, though her eyes sharpened. "It's just, you don't really fit the aesthetic. We're going for modern minimalism. The photographer said your dress might be distracting." I looked down at the soft blue silk I'd chosen weeks ago, the one Benjamin said brought out the color of my eyes. It wasn't flashy, just simple and elegant. My throat tightened. Behind her, guests floated between tables of champagne flutes and ivory roses, their laughter bubbling up like champagne itself. No one noticed me standing there, the mother of the groom, being pushed toward the trash cans like a misplaced piece of furniture. "Evelyn," I began, voice trembling. "I'm his mother." "Yes," she said, with a perfectly practiced laugh, "and that's why I'm asking you nicely." Benjamin was across the room, deep in conversation with his groomsmen, his face lit up with that rare, boyish grin I hadn't seen in years. He didn't hear her. So I walked. Past the clinking glasses, past the flower arrangements I had paid for, past the smiles that weren't meant for me. I walked to the corner where the air smelled faintly of bleach and stale bread, and I sat down by the trash cans. The music swelled. Their first dance began. Everyone watched them glide across the marble floor while I sat in the shadows, my hands folded in my lap like a scolded child. And in that moment, something inside me cracked, quietly, like a hairline fracture in glass. They thought I was invisible. They thought they could erase me from this day. But they had forgotten one thing. I owned this venue. And by the end of the night, they would remember exactly who I was. Long before Benjamin ever met Evelyn, this building was nothing more than a forgotten shell of a train depot, abandoned and weathered by decades of wind and pigeons. I was 43 then, and newly widowed, standing knee-deep in dust and grief. Everyone told me it was foolish to buy it. A money pit, my brother had called it, shaking his head as though he pitied me. But I had looked at those tall arched windows and imagined laughter echoing between them, music humming against the brick walls. I imagined life pulsing here again, not silence. So I bought it. With the insurance money from Daniel's passing. With trembling hands and an empty heart, I signed the papers and promised myself I'd turn sorrow into something beautiful. It took years. Years of aching knees, burned fingers from hot glue guns, and lonely midnights sanding floorboards until my hands blistered. Benjamin would sometimes sit in the corner, doing homework as I painted the beams. He used to say, "Mom, someday I want to get married here. It's part of us." And now, here I was, sitting beside a trash can at his wedding in the very place he once called ours. My eyes stung, but not from sadness. From clarity. I watched Evelyn twirl under the chandeliers, her gown glittering like frost. She glanced at me once, lips curling as though she'd smelled something sour. Then she turned back to her audience, and they clapped like obedient wind-up toys. They didn't know who paid for the chandeliers. They didn't know whose hands built the very floor beneath their polished shoes. And Benjamin, my sweet boy, he hadn't even looked at me once since the ceremony. I stood quietly and slipped out the back door, the sound of music muffled by the heavy oak. I walked through the courtyard, past the garden of white hydrangeas I'd planted when Benjamin was 15. He used to water them while humming to himself, barefoot on the cobblestones. In my office, tucked behind the catering kitchen, I closed the door and locked it. The hum of the refrigerators faded into silence. On my desk sat the original deed, framed and yellowed around the edges. My name, Margaret Whitfield, etched in black ink. I stared at it until my vision blurred. This place had been my resurrection. My anchor when everything else had drowned. And I had handed it to them, to Evelyn, who now pretended I was less than the dirt beneath her heels. The office phone rang. It startled me. Mrs. Whitfield? It was Marjorie, my longtime assistant. Her voice was hushed, hesitant. Are you, all right? I'm fine, I lied. I saw where they seated you, she whispered. By the bins. She sounded like she might cry on my behalf. I didn't answer. My chest was tight, my ribs aching with something I couldn't name. Do you want me to? No, I cut her off gently. No, Marjorie. I want you to fetch the folder from the top drawer. The one marked transfer of ownership. There was a pause. You don't mean? Yes, I said. I do. The silence between us hummed like a live wire. You built this place, she said softly. I did. And you're just giving it away? Not giving, I murmured. Selling. Tonight. She inhaled sharply. To who? I looked through the glass wall at the hall beyond, where Evelyn was laughing, surrounded by glittering guests who would never know how much it cost me to build this dream. Anyone who can pay what it's worth, I said. Anyone but them. When I returned to the reception, no one noticed my absence. Benjamin was giving his speech, thanking Evelyn's parents for their generosity, thanking the staff for making this place so perfect. He didn't mention me. Not once. The clinking of glasses and bursts of laughter echoed through the hall, but all I heard was the dull throb of my own heartbeat. I stood in the corner, near the trash cans, and pulled out my phone. My fingers trembled as I typed the message to the broker who'd been pestering me for years to sell. List it. Effective tomorrow. No family discount. My thumb hovered over the send button, my breath caught in my throat. Then Evelyn's laughter rang out again, slicing through me like shattered glass, and I pressed send. No one saw. No one knew. Not yet. Because by sunrise, the building where they'd humiliated me would no longer belong to me. And they would wake up married, standing on ground that was already slipping from beneath their feet. By the time the cake was cut and the last champagne flute was drained, the deal was already in motion. I had slipped away during their sparkler send-off to sign the last of the digital paperwork from my phone. The building, my sanctuary, my sweat and blood and late nights, was officially under contract. It no longer belonged to me. It no longer belonged to them either. When I stepped back into the ballroom, the air was thick with the scent of spilled wine and fading roses. The guests had loosened their ties and kicked off their shoes. Laughter was slurred now, voices blurred into a low, drunken hum. Benjamin found me by the exit. Mom, he said, smiling wide, cheeks flushed from champagne. There you are. I've been looking everywhere. Have you? I asked. His smile faltered. Just slightly, but enough. I wanted to say thank you. For everything. The flowers, the food, it was perfect. He looked tired. Older, somehow. There was a flicker of something in his eyes I hadn't seen earlier, guilt, maybe. I'm glad you're happy, I said, folding my hands. Evelyn appeared then, her arm hooked through his. She smelled of expensive perfume and victory. Oh, Margaret, you simply Marjorie. Miss Marjorie, stay and help with cleanup, she chirped. We'll need all hands. There's so much mess back there. I stared at her. She didn't even know she was standing in front of the wall I had hand-painted myself, her diamond bracelet flashing against it like a cruel little spark. I won't be here, I said softly. Her smile flickered. Oh. Leaving already? Yes, I said. For good. They both frowned. Benjamin tilted his head. What do you mean? I reached into my clutch and pulled out a single folded sheet, the sale agreement, printed from Marjorie's office minutes earlier. I placed it gently into his hand. I sold the venue, I said. The color drained from his face. You, what? Evelyn laughed, sharp and disbelieving. You're joking. No, I said, my voice steady, almost serene. As of midnight tonight, it won't belong to me anymore. This was my last night here. Benjamin unfolded the paper, scanning it. His mouth parted, but no words came. Why would you, he began, but I cut him off. Because, I whispered, you let her seat me by the trash cans at your wedding. Because you didn't see me. Because I became invisible in the very place I built for you. The music had stopped. Somewhere across the room, someone was stacking chairs, but it sounded far away. Benjamin swallowed. His hand trembled around the paper. Mom. I didn't know she. You didn't care to know, I said, not cruelly, just as fact. You thanked everyone but me tonight. You gave my years of work to her like a gift she hadn't earned. Evelyn's face had gone pale, but her chin was still high. We don't need this old place, she said coldly. We can build our own memories somewhere better. And in that single sentence, she told me everything I had feared was true. She had never seen this place as sacred. Just convenient. Just pretty wallpaper for her performance. I smiled. A small, tired smile that surprised even me. I hope you do, I said. Truly. Then I turned, walked past them, and out into the night air. The courtyard was empty now, petals scattered like confetti across the cobblestones. The hydrangeas glowed pale in the moonlight. I paused and touched one bloom gently, its petals cool against my fingers. This had been my whole life for 20 years. And now it was over. I expected to feel regret, grief even, but what rose inside me instead was something unexpected. Relief. Because for so long, I had held this place together like I was holding my own broken heart together. And tonight, I let them both go. As I reached the iron gates, I heard footsteps behind me. Mom. Benjamin's voice. I turned. He stood there alone, hands shoved into his pockets, his tuxedo jacket hanging open like wilted wings. His eyes were wet. I'm sorry, he said simply. For a moment, the boy in him flickered through, the boy who used to water the hydrangeas barefoot. I know, I said. I didn't mean to make you feel small. You didn't make me feel small, I said. You just forgot I was once the biggest part of your world. He winced. And for the first time all night, he looked truly married, older, burdened, realizing the weight of the choice he had made. I don't know how to fix this, he whispered. You can't, I said gently. Some things you just carry. Like I carried you. We stood there for a long time in the moonlight, the silence between us soft as snowfall. Then I turned, opened the gate, and walked into the dark, leaving the music, the lights, and the life I built behind me. I didn't look back. Because sometimes, loving someone means letting them remember what they lost only after it's gone. If my story touched your heart, please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. I read each one, and they mean more to me than you'll ever know. Your words remind me that none of us are truly alone in our struggles. If you know someone who might find comfort or strength in this story, share it with them. And if you'd like to hear more stories from my heart to yours, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Let's keep holding each other up, one story at a time.